good morning, everybody, and welcome to Azure Flash News, episode 73.
That's right.
Yeah, and we guessed last week at 90.
Yeah.
Not quite that many, although you did a lot of episodes before we started like counting and stuff.
Yeah,
so
but it doesn't
maybe
matter.
that's where.
It doesn't matter.
We're gonna call it
73 is a good
73.
number. I like that number.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's today is August 23rd of
Yes, it
2019.
is. Yes.
Welcome everybody to the show.
Okay, I can't win with my shirt colors, by the way. I'm black on black right now.
Here, let me. If I change the, if I turn on the dark, if I turn off dark mode in Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, then I won't be. Then I'll be black on white, which I was hoping to have some contrast. Well,
but
I get
but
the
you
look
nice.
I get all this stuff, and geez, I can't win.
For all the podcast listeners, they don't know what you're talking about.
I know,
but that's okay.
That.
They'll just have to check it out on YouTube.
That's right, on the YouTube.
Yeah, go check it out on YouTube. Anyway,
or I call it as the tube.
Yeah, you and Al Gore.
Yeah.
The interwebs.
All
yeah.
Right.
So you'll notice that, and actually maybe the dark mode doesn't work very well on the.
Oh, try it. We'll try it.
But you'll notice that we are changing the show notes just a little bit. We're not using OneNote anymore.
Nope.
We're devs. We're not the Office guys.
Nope.
We like the Office guys.
Yep.
But we decided we're going to use GitHub for our show notes, and basically commit them to a public GitHub repo.
Yep.
And then just show them in Visual Studio Code. So let us know what you think.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not unlike, it's basically like our documentation. Very similar to how we do our documentation.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
and so as a matter of fact, if you find an error in the show notes, fork the repo.
Do a pull request.
Do a pull request.
Yep.
And we can approve it, I guess.
Absolutely.
Come to think of it. But anyway, so you'll notice a little change there. That's it. That's all there is to say about it. So, of course, we're on Teams today.
Yep.
We were last week, so good luck with that. Give us feedback if you like it or don't like it.
Good luck with that.
But, the thing is that we don't really have a choice.
Right.
So, anyway.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's a great Friday. I've been in Chicago all week on vacation, so I just got back yesterday.
Did you go see a Cubs game?
I did. I got to see the Cubs play the Giants, and I have to say, I don't care what anybody says. LaCroix is still one of my favorite catchers. I mean, he's bounced around. He's been with the Brewers. Yeah. He's been in a couple different teams. But I'll tell you what.
You played catcher, right?
My dad played catcher. My son played catcher. I played coach.
Okay. You played one on TV.
That's right.
No,
I don't know. There's something about the guy. He does not have your typical body structure of a catcher. He doesn't look like the old
brick wall.
Yeah, like the catchers of yore, where they were about 5'8", 5'9", and they were built like literally a brick wall.
Super wide.
He's tall. He's a little bit lanky, but man, oh man, I just like that kid. Troy is one of my.
All right, so go check out the Cubs.
Cubbies. We had a fun day. They won too, which was awesome.
That's always right.
But we saw some really cool stuff. We went to the Museum of Science and Industry. We went to the art museum. We did the Ferris Bueller thing where we saw the awesome paintings. Is it Surratt that had the
pointilism? Yeah,
exactly.
the Sunday in the Park with George.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that is.
There's so much cool. Navy Pier, of course.
Awesome.
So anyway, Chicago is one of our favorite cities. I love it. I love going back there. But it's also good to be home. We got some good stuff, right?
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
It's cooling off here.
Lord help us.
I know I'm not ready.
No.
But the leaves are actually starting to fall a little bit in my yard. I was like, but anyway, but what do we have on the show today?
We got some good stuff. We got some good stuff. I was getting caught up, as I came back from vacation, I started looking at our announcements. We've got a preview of some capabilities with policies. We've got an opportunity to streamline your SAP implementations and from a significant decrement.
Yeah.
Some new capabilities, one-click stop for Azure Security Center. GA announcement, which is finally, it's been a while.
It's been a while. This is a while coming, but this is good stuff in function.
And we've made, in the last couple of weeks, we've talked about Archive. I think cost was the last one we talked about, but we've got some additional announcements on Archive.
I think we dropped the cost of Archive, did we not?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we got some good stuff.
Okay.
As usual.
All right, well, let's dive in.
All right.
You'll notice that I'm actually using the dev.
I did
No,
notice.
not dev. I keep saying dev.
You keep saying
the
dev,
beta channel. The beta channel of Edge, which now uses Chromium. It works really well. I like it. Go give it a try. It's cross-platform. I had one of my teammates even say that they had installed it on Mac.
Awesome. Excellent. And I'm using actually the dev version. So we're on different versions. We'll have to compare horror stories or war stories or show notes or whatever you want to call it at some point.
So.
So, yeah. So far,
All
so
right.
good.
So archive storage, faster, simpler, better.
You're at the end of it. We got to go up fast.
Oh.
Rewind.
Oops.
So
let me take that back. Preview
policy.
of custom content in Azure Policy Guest configuration.
Okay.
So like, there's a lot. There's actually a lot in there.
Okay, so let's unbox this. So guest configuration.
Yeah.
Right? So what are we talking about when we're talking about guest configuration?
We are talking about the configuration of the guest.
Okay,
we're,
I like
we're
it.
talking about virtual machines. So in other words, the configuration not of the virtual
The
machine,
guest OS.
the guest OS. Yeah.
Not the host OS. The
No,
guest
not,
OS.
yeah, and not like the VM itself. And what I mean by that is its physical properties, like
Right.
how many cores it has or how
Right.
much memory it has.
Not-
We're talking about the actual inside, like you might say that we require some configuration, like these files to exist,
Yep.
these directories to exist,
Yep.
these packages to be installed, stuff like that.
So not unlike desired state configuration, but it's enforced at a policy level instead
Right.
of a DSC.
Yeah, and it's enforced through the same policy mechanism that the physical properties were enforced. Like, for instance, you could say we can only allow deployment of VMs in East US.
Yep.
Or
where we have availability.
where we have availability zones. Yeah, East US 2
Yep.
and Central, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is your strategy is, if you have certain policies, guardrails,
Yep.
for your organization, that you want to apply so that when people deploy, they deploy inside the guardrails.
Exactly.
You want to give them self-service freedom.
Yep.
Let them deploy as fast as possible.
Yep.
Build infrastructure as quickly as possible, but put up the guardrails so that you know that they're within bounds.
Yep.
Azure Policy is the way to do that. Now we can even say use that same not infrastructure. That's not right. It's the same
Configuration.
the same sort of like
Configuration governance.
the same governance policy or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can apply both around the VM itself and
Yep.
also the guest OS.
Yep. Yeah. So it's slick. I mean, it's in preview right now, but custom content in that Azure policy guest configuration. So, we've got the built-in content provided by Microsoft customers. Okay, so it's been GA for the built-in stuff, right? I mean, that's the thing. But now what we're introducing is custom, the custom side of the house, right?
Yep.
So now it's really expanding this into a place where you can actually apply, I'll say, your own organization's kind of governance, right?
Yeah.
So these are, our built-in content is basically it's a list of things that you can do based on our configurations.
Yeah,
right.
that we've already done.
But now we're saying, hey, if you've got capabilities or if you've got governance or ordinance that you're requiring on-prem within your organization that you don't see here, oh, guess what?
You can do it now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's like, for example, if you're running an application on Azure on an Azure VM
Yep.
that's developed by you,
Yeah.
then you can audit that config and make sure and be notified whenever one of those VMs is not doing what you want. Yeah, that's right. When they're not in compliance. And where do you find that compliance list? Azure Security Center.
Yeah.
And Azure Policy. So it kind of bubbles up in both places.
Yeah.
You can see if a VM is
Well, so perfect example. You're running an application, say you're running IIS or you're running Apache or something. You're running it on either Windows or Linux, and what you're finding is one of those configuration settings somehow through your CI/CD pipeline, you manage to get a file, an XML file through that. You're like, no, we don't want to put any .config files, or we don't want to put any anything, whatever. We have basically configuration as code. And it's our way of basically ensuring that no keys and secrets are stored within files of the solution.
Yeah,
So
yep.
absolutely, that's one example of what you could do to enforce certain things, again, outside of our built-in policy, built-in content that you can go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So it's in preview. Give it a check.
yeah. So if you are using, if you are needing, like you might be using Chef or Puppet, which in some ways I think this is kind of like an Azure policy way.
Yeah.
So we encourage you to use Chef and Puppet.
Yep.
There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with
course,
that. But this is another way to do it through Azure policy.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right.
Okay. So
Have you done
SAP.
any? Yeah, we were joking about this a little while ago.
SAP. So
No.
reducing SAP implementations from months to minutes with Azure Logic Apps.
Well, who doesn't want to do an SAP implementation in minutes?
Okay. So the example that they give in this particular blog post is you have an on-prem instance of SAP that basically you're taking in sales orders from an e-commerce site for software purchases, okay? And in order to basically complete the transaction, there's several integration steps, right? Maybe you're checking your ERP software, you're checking some ancillary services, you're checking, you're doing some taxation calculation, you're doing inventory management, you're doing a bunch of these different things, right? So basically moving between on-prem and the cloud environment can be tricky, right? Because you got to do it securely, you got to do it reliably, you got to do it in a highly available, durable, resilient way. And guess what? We have Logic App connectors, right? So these new SAP connectors that basically enable you to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are business activities, right? Basically that you're orchestrating that with these SAP connectors now that are built into the Logic apps. You kind of I won't say the cost of doing business, but you get it as part of having Logic App deployment.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of differentiators here. One is that these connectors are just available in the Logic Apps platform.
Yep.
And so you can very easily go and use them, and it's pay by use. So in other words, you don't need to purchase upfront some big license for
no DTUs.
Well, and I was even going to say that too, but I was even going to say no integration platform. Like in other words, you don't need to go and buy and invest.
You're not provisioning VMs. You're not provisioning.
Yeah, and you don't have to buy. It's. I think.
Oh wait, we
summed it up.
We were doing serverless before serverless was cool.
The thing. I know it's true. But this is totally serverless. So in other words, you just like you don't have to go and buy a bunch of software licenses.
Right. Exactly.
Which is kind of funny to hear from Microsoft, but
beautiful thing.
In the cloud, it's the way it works.
Exactly. So here's your connector, execute it, and you basically get charged by per X number of 10,000 X whatever that I can't. Don't quote me on that.
It's
I don't remember the pricing scheme, but
it is actually very expensive. A lot of times it's 10, 20, 30, 40 cents per million.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not that much. It's very cheap. But the other thing is that you might ask, how in the world do I connect to SAP? SAP is on-prem. Well, and in some ways you can even say my SAP is in a virtual network in Azure, which is in many ways it's like that's kind of on-prem.
On-prem. Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
totally
it's behind a firewall.
Exactly. You're going through a firewall. You're going through the onion, the rings of trust. You're going through a bunch of different.
So how in the world does Azure Logic Apps connect to something on-prem? Well, we have a connector. I mean, it's like a proxy, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
It uses Service Bus Relay. You install it inside your virtual network. And then you, or on-prem.
On-prem.
It doesn't matter. And then Logic Apps can use that as a
Layer 7,
HTTPS proxy. Yeah, it just kind of like goes into there. And then whenever you say resolve the DNS of sap.internal.local, or whatever it is, that DNS happens inside that proxy.
Exactly.
And so then that way it can connect to
and so, but you raise a great point too, because Service Bus Relays, the cool thing about that is it's not like you're making an inbound request directly into that service that exists on-prem. Basically what you're doing is putting a request on the bus that inbound or that on-premises component is listening for. And once it sees a request for X, basically it's saying, I want to call this, invoke this function with these parameters. And so it internally invokes that function with or method with those parameters. Then it puts the response on the bus, and then that piece goes and grabs it. So it's not like you're reaching in through a firewall or reaching into directly to an on-premises thing. You're basically putting a message on the service bus telling that on-premises component to perform an action. And so from a security perspective, it seems subtle, but it's a big difference.
And whenever the proxy gets installed, it's a long-lived outbound SSL or HTTPS connection, and you can open some additional ports outbound to make it a little faster. But all of the initial, it's all outbound. All of it, it's all outbound.
It's all outbound.
So from your VNet out of the firewall, or from your on-prem out of the firewall, it's all outbound. You don't need to open up any inbound. So whenever this Logic App proxy wakes up, it says, "Oh, I need to connect," and it connects to Azure. The Logic App runtime connects to that meeting point, Service Bus Relay. Then the communication happens across that long-term tunnel. It's very, very cool.
It's secure.
Yeah, and it's secure. It's how Power BI does on-prem.
Because you've got app data gateways. You've got But it's all proxy through this gateway concept, which is really a service bus relay.
Yep, that's right. Data Factory works this way.
Yep,
It's all the same technology.
So it's tried and true. It's trusted. It's hardened. It's battle hardened.
Yeah.
It's stuff we use at Microsoft. I mean, we do drink our own champagne.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Dog food tastes awful.
Yeah, it's not good. Have you ever tried it?
No, not as far as you
Smell?
know.
Well, yeah, right. I feed the dog in the morning, and that's as close as I want to get to eating dog food.
Well, and we have kibble, so I mean, it's when I hear that term, eat your own dog food, it elicits like the canned mushy. I know, right? It gives me.
Let's go and drink your own champagne. Yeah. I like that. I like that. I'm with you.
And I can't claim that's not my term. I've gotten that from a customer who likes to use that versus dog food, which I appreciate tremendously.
But we'll take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll take that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I like the SingleClick Remediate in Azure Security Center. I like SingleClick. I'm all about SingleClick.
Okay. So Azure Firewall, just-in-time support, SingleClick Remediation. Okay. So SingleClick Remediation for bulk resources is now in preview. So what does that mean? Let's unbox that. Bulk resources means
lots of things.
Exactly. Okay. So you've got one, or let's say +1 to n number of deployments that need remediation.
Yep.
Okay. And instead of going click, 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 click for each one of those and remediating those, you can do them all.
Click. Yep.
Okay.
So in other words, if you have lots of endpoints that need to be set to close the firewall for HTTPS in lots of places, click once and it just fixes everything all at once. So.
Exactly. So I mean, it seems like we're getting to a point where we're almost at a point, we're approaching, I'll call it an event horizon, because it could be good or it could be bad, depending on how you look at it. We're approaching a point where Security Center could just take over. Yeah. And so once you're comfortable with it, once it's proven it's metal, instead of one click, I mean, because we went from bulk click where you want to individually click to one click to what about no click?
Yeah.
Right? And I think we're fastly approaching a point where it's almost like let's go hands off and let's let these security tools do their thing instead of putting a person in the middle who I've been in Chicago for the last 4 days. What if I had a vulnerability and even if it's one click, I didn't click on it because I was out of pocket.
Now this means that the robots will be.
I know, Skynet. If you're listening, I am your friend. I am friend, not foe.
We're gonna let the robots take over in this case, maybe a little bit.
But I feel like we're getting close to that point, and that doesn't mean it takes you out of a job or me out of a job or a security professional out of a job by any stretch of the imagination.
There's way too much work to do.
What it means is take me out of the business of clicking buttons and put me in the business of monitoring a single pane of glass so I can respond proactively as I address threats, as I see things emerging, as I see things, again, on that event horizon coming at zero-day exploits. I know they're coming. Well, you don't end a zero-day exploit, but just let me be more responsive to those types of things instead of a firewall configuration setting, right? I mean, come on.
So you'll notice here's a list. We love lists.
I love that.
Here's a list of the remediations that are in preview. We don't need to say them all, but there's web apps, functions, API apps, which are kind of all app services, HTTPS, should only be available over HTTPS. So like that's a rule that will come up in Azure Security Center, and now you can bulk say go, and
I couldn't agree more. By the way, they should all only be accessible over HTTPS using TLS 1.2 or greater.
Well, now of course the thing is that a lot of browsers will just say if it's HTTP, it says not secure.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get the little thing that says no matter what, if it's not over.
It doesn't matter if it's just Google. Like Google says that. If you just go to google.com and you hit it on HTTP, it says not secure.
Because back in the day, which I believe was a Wednesday according to Dane Cook, there was a time where the HTTPS protocol created a significant amount of overhead. And when you'd load a page, even if it was 100K, you could actually brown out a server by continuously making a HTTPS request, especially if they had big, heavy graphics and a bunch of other stuff. Those days are over.
No.
gzip compression and all the other stuff that we've got behind the scenes and all the acceleration and compute.
We should actually just outlaw HTTP.
I agree. Why even have it? What's the point?
Shouldn't allow it.
What's the point?
Block port 80.
Exactly.
Done.
Donezo. Or make port 80 redirect to port 43.
There you go. Whoa, that is even better. A redirect. Okay, anyway, so there's a list here. The list just goes on and on.
There's some really cool stuff, and it's really important stuff. Vulnerability assessment on SQL servers, Basically managed instances, of course. Diagnostic logs should be enabled. So, I mean, these are things you should all be doing. So if you're not doing it, you should be getting a one-click warning. Maybe you have to wear not the dunce cap, but the pointy hat.
The smart guy hat?
Yeah, the smart guy hat. I just fixed my boo-boo.
One click.
One click.
Yeah.
That's right. Let's turn it. We're going from a dunce cap to a smart guy derby cap or something.
Yeah, I like it.
Cap.
Yeah. How about a top hat?
Top hat.
What does a smart guy wear?
A
top hat? I don't know.
Well, if you're handsome and dashing like I am, as a smart man, you don't wear anything.
You just
let your soul grow.
That's exactly.
No, I do not use the Soul Glow product, nor do I endorse it in any way, shape, or form, given the fact that I don't have any hair.
No.
You don't even know the reference that is to.
I don't.
Coming to America. Eddie Murphy, there's
sorry.
it's the boyfriend who's in the Soul Glow commercials where he sprays
I
his
know
hair.
of the movie. I have not seen it. I do like Eddie Murphy though.
Oh, good stuff. Anyway.
Okay. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, which is Azure Functions.
That's right. Okay.
Do you like Python?
I like Python, and so I'll tell you what. Back in the day, again, which I believe was a Wednesday.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a Thursday.
We kept Python in experimental mode for so long, right? And the reason was because the XE, the runtime engine for Python, in Azure Functions, because they're transient, it took so long to spin up the executable and get things running that they weren't performant. They just weren't doing it. They weren't cutting it. Well, we figured out ways around that. We figured out ways to keep the executable running behind the scenes, even though the functions are still transient. And so then we went into public preview. And again, we were in preview for a long time because this is one of those things that you just want to get right, right? So you got the Java JVM, you've got the Python executable, all these languages that require this intermediary. I mean, and the C# does too. I mean, right? I mean, you still have it compiles down to the MSIL, and you still have some interpretation, but you don't have this runtime engine necessarily that's sitting there, waiting for these instructions. So in this particular case, we waited a while, we got it right, and we're finally general availability with Python.
There's also there's also been a big transition in the Azure Functions runtime from the older .NET Core, from like .NET to .NET Core, which makes it cross-platform, which makes it a lot easier to run these sort of more Linux-y, native-y languages. So there's been a lot of engineering work done to make this happen.
Mad shout out to the
Azure Functions team. By the way, did you notice here?
TCF Bank, a local company.
Yeah.
I did notice that when I was reading
this.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Right on.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got, David Rivera, the blockchain chief technology officer at GE Aviation. They use it, which is really cool.
Yeah, people are using it.
Yeah, TCF Bank. You've got,
a bank in the cloud?
Oh, what?
No. Come on.
No way.
Banks don't use the cloud.
What? The cloud isn't secure? The cloud's not safe?
Somebody's going to quote you on that.
Bud.
That's
you better not take it out of context. You need to you got to quote the FUD part at the end, otherwise
that's right.
I'd be mad.
All right. So so Python is very commonly used in like data science pipelines
absolutely.
and all sorts of awesome
that
stuff.
is like the de facto standard. I mean, between R and Python, if you're doing data science with the big boys, I'm sure that's what you're doing.
Yeah, it really it's.
Yeah.
So anyway, so
I can spell Python. LV.
No.
Yes.
No. Close. Anyway, so use Python in Functions. If you're a Python shop and you want to do some serverless, Functions is a great place to go and do it. Check it out.
In a generally available way.
Generally,
because it's now generally available.
I see what you mean. I'm with you now, Rick. It took me a second, but I'm with you.
I understand.
Okay, so we had some Azure Archive Storage.
Okay, this is cool. This is cool. Yes, we did. So last time we talked about price. Well, we've got more good news.
And as a matter of fact, about the price, we
dropped it.
We dropped the price.
Yep. So we didn't scare you and say, "Oh, prices are going up. The sky's falling."
No, the prices are falling, not the sky.
That's right. The prices are falling.
Not the sky.
That's right.
Prices.
Exactly.
Falling.
Well, and now we've got more cool announcements. So talk to me, Goose.
Okay, Maverick. Let's see here. What we have is we have a new.
This is cool.
Yeah, this is cool. A new way to retrieve your archive storage, and it's not new. It's not a new way.
Well, it's a new capability.
Yeah. So up until this time, we had an SLA of a few hours, I think it was.
Yep.
And it cost X.
Yes.
Okay. So what we're saying now is we have a new way to retrieve called priority retrieval.
Yes.
So the old way is going to be called standard. So that is what we have today.
Yep.
Well, we have this now,
Yep.
I guess. But what we had before will essentially be called standard.
So,
and we have a new way to say do it by priority.
Important to know though. So the standard rehydrate priority, okay?
Or high. Sorry, I said
Retrievals.
priority.
No, you're right. Standard takes up to 15 hours.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So not even just a few hours.
High takes less than 1 hour.
Okay. All right.
So if you absolutely need to recover something quickly, it costs a little bit more, right? Because now, because this goes closer towards cool and hot.
Yep.
And that's where the price changes versus the transactional cost. So it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's going to take less than an hour out of archives, out of cold storage, less than an hour to recover that content, or that file, or that data, or whatever it is.
Cool or hot.
Yep.
I guess you can choose.
Exactly. So So that's the first thing.
And next, this kind of reminds me of like Fast Pass.
Totally. Yes. I'm
So
just going to drive through.
It's boom. I
Yep.
want my data now.
Yep.
I'm going to pay a little bit more.
Yep.
We'll get it for you.
Go.
All right. So, but that's not the only announcement.
No. Just wait. There's more.
Just wait. There's more. If you order today, you'll get
Act
two.
now.
Act now in the next 30 seconds, and we'll give you two. Yes, 2 bottles of. No.
What we will actually give you though is a choice.
Actually, we will give you a choice to upload your blobs directly to
An access
archive.
tier.
That's
So
right.
you can go hot, cool, or archive instead of provisioning or instead of deploying it into one of the any tier that's basically, I shouldn't say hot, but hot or cool, and then set a tier policy or move it over into archive.
Yeah, so you can upload it directly into the archive and not have to worry about the tiering policy or any of that stuff. So.
But here's the cool thing, all within the same.
Yeah. Really?
Yep.
Oh.
So blob level tiering for GP V2, general purpose V2, allows you to easily store blobs in hot, cool, or archive access tiers all within the same container.
That is awesome.
How cool is that? So you can keep it in one space. You don't have to have separate containers. You
Nope.
don't have to, and
you can treat them the same, in other words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Everything's a pet.
Yes.
Everything's cattle. You don't have to treat these like dogs and cats and birds and lizards.
And when we love birds
It's
and cats
cattle.
and lizards. Yeah,
Well,
it's
we
cattle.
do, but this is cattle.
Yeah, right. And then there is actually a copy blob capability that we're announcing. And this makes it a little bit easier to temporarily take a blob and make a copy of it and work on it right there.
So
there.
essentially you're saying work on it in memory.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's like right now, there is no such thing as a copy blob.
Right.
You have to basically download the blob and then re-upload it with a new
Correct.
name.
Yep.
That's what you have to do today.
So instead of yanking it down, right?
Copy it.
You can use this copy blob. You can manipulate it. You can work with it.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
I mean, we're just continuing to add new stuff to storage, and we're not going to stop. I mean, I've seen the roadmap for storage. It's been a little while since I've seen it. I think we'll get some updates here before too long, kind of as we go through. We did the summertime
Yep.
stuff internally, and so we continue to hear about these roadmaps, and the roadmap for storage is full.
Oh my
They
gosh,
are
yeah.
doing all sorts of amazing stuff. It's a foundation.
Incredible. It is. It's foundational. I mean, if you look at how Azure is built, almost everything relies on that foundational layer that is storage, right?
Yeah,
The storage stamps, and that's why we've accelerated development so fast and gotten away from. Excuse me. Whew,
Okay.
I sucked in a little bit of something.
I know.
We've gotten away from pinning and spanning and all this other stuff and forcing you guys to do all these things to make your HA durable, reliable, ruggedized, et cetera, and just kind of taking that out of your purview and
Yeah.
just
you don't
again
have to
treat it
worry
like
about it.
cattle. Treat it like cattle, man.
Yeah.
You should not be treated like pets.
So that's
So
it,
there
man.
you have it.
There you have it. Yeah, that was good stuff.
Great stuff, man.
Yeah. So remember, go check the show out on
Oh my gosh.
YouTube,
Everywhere.
Stitcher, Google,
iTunes.
iTunes. Thank you.
Don't forget about
And we got
iTunes.
some more. We got some more iTunes reviews.
Yes. Oh, sweet.
That we did. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So please, we love the 5-star
Unless
iTunes
you were
review.
mean to us, then I forgive you.
Well, we did get a 4-star.
Oh, I forgive you.
I know, but they didn't leave like comments on what we can do better. So,
Oh, shoot.
so if you think we're 5 stars,
Yeah.
please go and vote us up. If you think we're not 5 stars,
Let us know.
please let us know.
Yeah, let us know. What can we do?
Yeah.
I will be getting back into some more hands-on demos and stuff. I've got some good feedback from folks. They really appreciate kind of that. One of the things I would like to kind of cover maybe in the next episode, if we have, which we should, I'd like to talk about doing some nested resource deployments in ARM templates. in some of the, because what's interesting is you can cross subscriptions, you can cross resource groups. It's really kind of fun what you can do within an ARM template. We're really kind of flexing our muscle and showing some really interesting, I think, options.
I guess, I mean, I could even show a little bit about what I'm doing at a customer where we're doing all of our,
there you go.
It's all of our shared infrastructure through ARM templates, which is a little different, like the network.
Love it.
So like actually doing your VNets in ARM templates.
Yep.
So
and
I could show that too. It like deploys super fast and
it's incredible.
It's awesome. It's cool.
Yeah.
And sorry, not only just ARM templates, but deployed through Azure DevOps or ADO as some people
love it.
We also want to thank the MTC for hosting us. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. And we want to thank Emily for producing the show. Thank you, Emily.
Where can they reach you?
You can reach me, mgarner@microsoft.com, or on Twitter @mgarner would be just fine.
And you can reach me at Rick, W-E-Y, @microsoft.com, or of course, we'll be listening on at Azure/News on Twitter. If you have something to say, let us know, and we'll be responsive. I did get a great email last week in regards to the CSS support for preview.
Oh yeah, mention that.
It was a great email. There was some concern in regards to kind of what we support in preview and what we support in general availability, and there was just he wanted to make sure we clarified that it's not officially supported, which is true, absolutely true, until it hits GA. We do best effort support, but it's not an official support stance that we take until we're in generally available
status or whatever.
So thank you for that. Appreciate that. It's interesting. It's always long-time listener, first-time emailer, which I thought was great, but it's just so interesting to see like the reach and some of the people that are listening in the different locations, and we've seen some really so for that we've got nothing but love for you, and thank you so much.
Yeah, and really so whenever you want to catch the show notes, don't forget, go to GitHub and search for Azure/News. There's a repo called Show Notes, and you'll be able to catch the show notes there if you want to catch the.
If you just want to catch the notes to look at some of the blob links or blog links, not the blob links. Otherwise, so we'll be going through a metamorphosis. You'll see us probably redirecting URLs and stuff to the GitHub repo, do some of that stuff. But we're trying to be more devy.
Like we're getting away from the blog, so it's a little bit easier to work in Visual Studio Code and just commit to a repo rather than
this is the successor to the blog. This is what the cool
GitHub. Actually, some of our teammates are doing that. Like they kind of just add new stuff in there. Anyway.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much. As usual, we look forward to talking to you same time, same place next week. Until then, keep your fingers on the keyboards and your head in the clouds.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.